Hi everyone, I'm Jason Leostatis. I'm back again this evening, as promised, with my great guest, Andrew Knott, who is the publisher of FUELSPIRACY, an amazing book. And Andrew has created a device which is very beneficial to engines to save fuel. Thanks, Andrew, for coming on the show.
Hello, Jason. Well, really nice to see you. I haven't seen you since last Saturday, I don't think. No.
Well, what just to fill people in if they think, oh, these guys know each other. Andrew, I've known Andrew since I've been in Totnes for years now. I've got a little gallery in Totnes, and Andrew pops in, and we have some great chats. And why I'm really excited now, Andrew, for your great work, as you will explain to people in a minute, I'll just introduce this. The establishment has been blocking your product. You'll explain that the AA and all these people have been blocking your product, which is beneficial to fuel saving in vehicles, and you'll tell us how beneficial in a minute. And that I've loved. We've spoken about this for years, and suddenly now it's an amazing thing because it's your time now, Andrew. The price of fuel is going skyrocketing, and there's many questions that I want to ask you about the product, but I'll leave it now because I know you want to do a summary of the book and everything first. So, Andrew, I'll just let you get on with it and explain to people what this is all about. It's very exciting, everybody. Very, very exciting indeed. And no wonder the establishment's blocked it because they want you to use as much fuel as possible, right? So thanks, Andrew. It's good to know you, and well done for your great work. It's really exciting. I really admire your work.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Jason, for that introduction. And I'm really admiring what you're doing as well. It's so important to get the truth out about all sorts of things. And this story is in the field of energy. And what I'd like to do is just say the story. It's a long story, but I'd like to cut it short for a few minutes. And then this book that you've mentioned, that's available as a free download, as I'll show you, I'll just nip through it and explain what it's all about. I think my claim to fame is really having the best documented, least disputable conspiracy theory that I've ever seen anyway. So if I could explain, and if you don't mind, I'll just be glancing over. So I've made a few notes just to keep it on track. So 37 years ago, that's in 1989, I read an article in a journal, a motoring journal, about a miraculous sounding device for vehicles. And I thought, well, that's really interesting to me. I've had an interest in the environment, and I had been in the motor trade as well, so an interest in cars. And then by chance, I saw a job advert for people to go out and sell it. So I applied and got the job, little knowing that it would take over my life for nearly 4 decades, which is exactly what's happened. Anyway, this particular device had been used by the Royal Air Force during World War II. That's where it came from. So I didn't invent it, by the way. And it was being resurrected. And after a few months of me being involved, not all thanks to me, by the way, it was now in use in as many as 200,000 UK vehicles and marine vessels, including police forces, ambulance services, local authority fleets, sea-link ferries, P&O ferries, fishing fleets, to name a few. And the results were so impressive that it seemed to me and others involved with it, and many people were, that all 25 million UK users, at that potential customers at that time, not to mention the hundreds of millions of people worldwide, would use it because they would be fools not to. And that's how it looked. It was purely a business venture, and it was really a good thing to be in. But for various reasons, if that had happened, there would have been huge losses, not only for oil companies, but also, as it happened, for motor companies as well, as I shall show. And just as it was taking off like exponentially, what then actually happened is it was hit by horrendous publicity in the media, making out that it didn't work and people must not use it. It was a really bad idea. And that publicity really, really was devastating, mainly because it didn't come from the oil and motor companies directly affected. It came from organizations people trust and people believe. led by, in fact, the Automobile Association, the most trusted authority in the land. They came out with an official report saying that this thing didn't work, and they sent their report to the press and to the public and to overseas motoring organisations. And it got widely reported, and it killed the market. It was so damning. Well, it also harmed, obviously, me and everybody involved with it, including a chap called Peter Murphy, who's been a friend and colleague ever since. And he had been very senior in the Ford Motor Company, in fact, and had been headhunted into this. And we thought, well, what's going on? We couldn't understand it. And we researched this report by the AA, and we worked out it was based on 5 tests. They quoted 5 tests. Well, we were able to prove that at least one of them never happened, of these tests. And 2 more had probably never happened, and the other 2 had been very crudely and deliberately rigged. And meanwhile, they never mentioned anything about all the positive information, of which there was volumes. And then we found a link between the AA's report and the Shell Oil Company. We thought, aha. So then we got involved with correspondence with the AA, who had no defence against these allegations that they had lied and presumably been paid to lie. And we got involved with correspondence with them. It went on and on and on. It became a total obsession. I mean, it's insanity, really, what we did. But we even got as far as we ended up in the AA's boardroom in front of their lawyers, who were realising that their whole organisation was at stake. They stood to be sued not only by us and hundreds of people like us, but the entire motoring public, who they had deceived out of billions and billions of pounds worth of benefits.
Wow.
We got that far. And it was, they were threatening legal action against us and all sorts of things. But there was no way out for them. They had just been so emphatic about it. They couldn't do a U-turn. And we tried to get the story in the public domain, and nobody would believe us. And the AA, primarily at that time, they started making sure that people who stood to benefit from this particular product actually ended up hating it, and it was a hate campaign. But it wasn't just the AA who did it, it was the Consumers Association and the Advertising Standards Authority and the Department for Transport and the Office of Fair Trading and Uncle Tom Cobley and all point blank lied in writing in various press releases and elsewhere, saying that this product didn't work when they knew damn well that it did. And this went on throughout the 1990s. And eventually in this country, they just killed it off, even though the thing always worked and they damn well knew it. And anyway, so they killed it off in this country. We went off and did other things. We had no choice. Obviously, really very not happy about it at all. But there's nothing we could do. But then at the advent of the internet in the early 2000s, we suddenly started seeing that versions of the same device, which was a UK invention, were now being used by the United States Navy and the United States Army, and shipping in the Pacific, and trains in India, and so on. And even though the use was nothing like it would have been, it was still hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in the world using it. A drop in the ocean, but enough to give a huge database of evidence that it worked. Anyway, we tried to get, we returned to try and get something done about it. Not so in more recent years. There was nowhere we could go with it. Nobody would believe us that all these organisations that had lied. Eventually, though, a couple of years ago, we wrote the book, and suddenly things have started to change. And what I'd like to do is just go through the book, and which is a free download at, I don't know if you can see this, www.FUELSPIRACY.com. .info. So anybody wants the details, they can go to their website and download the PDF for nothing.
And I'll put that link on. I'll put that link under the show as well, Andrew. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And here it is. It's called FUELSPIRACY, a case study in UK establishment corruption, how knowledge and use of a simple device that saves fuel and cuts pollution has been suppressed by over 30 years of UK establishment deceit and cover-up. So the story is about the device because it still works now, and it's also about the establishment and the true nature of the establishment. It's both of these things. So I'll just flip through it. I can't really show it very well, but just to remind myself, what the device is the first thing. Well, the first bit of the book is what I've just said. And the second is what the device is. Well, when I got involved, believe it or not, it is this.
I remember you showing me in the shop years ago, yeah?
Yeah, this. And inside that metal cage are these. And what these are tin-based catalysts. They actually react with fuel when they go into the fuel tank, and that's how they're fitted. And they have a chemical effect on fuel, or various chemical actions. And the thing is, they're permanent. Once they're fitted, they last forever, never need replacing.
I'll keep my questions till after, but diesel and petrol, right? Yeah, both.
Diesel and petrol, that's right, Jason. So, for instance, and they're almost always fitted in fuel tanks. I'll come on to fitting in a while because that's important. They're usually very, very easy to fit. There are some cases where they're not so easy to fit, and people need to know that. But mostly they are. And anyway, so that's the first part of the book. That's what it is. The second part of the book, just to remind myself what the effects of fuel are, I go a little bit into the chemistry, but what the benefits are is cuts in toxic emissions, with often the ability to turn MOT test failures into MOT test passes, useful fuel savings that are not massive in percentage points, although they can be, but they're permanent. So if you fit one and you run a car for 5 years, you get 5 years or whatever of significant fuel savings. Engines designed for premium fuels like E5 petrol can actually run on cheaper E10 petrol. That's another thing. And reduce problems with exhaust. Modern diesel engines, the exhaust clogs up and what have you. Which
puts the car into limp mode often, doesn't it? Yeah,
that's the one, Jason, and you get less problems with that.
Yeah.
And fuel, another thing, fuel takes longer to deteriorate. A lot of people know if they've got a motorbike or a lawnmower or anything like that, they run it in the summer, all wrong, not a problem. Put it away for the winter, take it out in the spring, and this fuel that's left in the tank has turned to gunk, and you can't start the bloody engine. With a couple of these in the tank, you can. So there's a lot to it. And it's all because of various chemical reactions taking place in the fuel. The book then goes into where it came from, and it's got accounts of it being used by the Royal Air Force in Russia in World War II. And it's also got the original patent, the guy who invented it, and download it and you'll see. But then it was off the market for a long time, and the time I got involved, it was reintroduced, and it was used, for instance, in the fishing industry and elsewhere very successfully. There was then a development in the petrol industry at that time. A lot of people remember that unleaded petrol was introduced to allow to replace 4-star leaded petrol. The problem with that was that a lot of cars simply could not use it. And the inventor of the device, an RAF man, realized that is exactly the same problem that the RAF had in Russia in World War II, when they sent aircraft to northern Russia to fight the Germans who were bombing shipping coming around the north of Norway. And they only had very low quality fuel there. and they solved it with the original version of this. That's where it came from. And when they introduced unleaded petrol, we had millions of cars couldn't use it, and but this thing solved the problem, and that's when it really took up fast. So it goes into how it has been used there. It's got various references. Glasgow City Council had over 1,000 of them for that reason. It was featured on Top Gear, BBC Top Gear, who interviewed fleet managers saying this was really a good thing, going absolutely brilliantly. I've still got the recording from 1989. This was when it was really becoming a big thing. There were full-page press adverts for it. It was featured in various magazines, Big Time, Practical Classics, which is a part of the story, in the fishing press. It's all in here. Increased power from less fuel, big savings, reduces fishing costs, what have you. It was then, the original product was called Carbon Flow. That was tested in 1990 by Professor Gordon Andrews, the leading combustion engineer in Britain at that time, who proved that it cut emissions, for full legal proof that it worked in that respect. Then it goes on to explain that the technology got in the public domain, and there are a lot of small companies making it. It gives the references for P&O ferries, Sea-Link ferries, Midland Electricity Board. They had 1,000 of them. Various universities tested it. Loads of magazine articles there. Sir Jack Brabham OBE, he was the biggest name in motor racing in the 1960s. Loads of press articles, etc., etc. It went on and on and on. And actually, I talk about what best documented. I've got at least 3 folders like this of various tests that were done. A lot of them in universities and what have you, saying, yeah, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And that's when, it was an exciting thing to be involved in. It was reasonably lucrative at the time, and absolutely inundated with people saying, well, thanks for telling me about this. I really appreciate it. And that's really a good place to be. And so everything was absolutely happy. But if it had taken off like we thought it would, the book goes then into what would have happened to the petrol companies to start with. Reduced demand for fuel across the board. But there's also a lot of things called liquid fuel additives. Like if you go into Halfords or anywhere like that, there's rows and rows of additives. You don't need any of those anymore with this. Also, people were making replacement cylinder heads, major components to let vehicles run on unleaded petrol. You didn't need those because that was a big part of the whole story, actually. And because of unleaded petrol, being able to use it, cars that couldn't use it were obsolete before their time, getting scrapped. It would therefore even affect demand for new vehicles. So the actual sums of money at stake were absolutely pretty big. It didn't seem important to us at the time, but of course it was. And suddenly, what happened was, with both oil and motor profits at risk, famous UK establishment organisations conducted devastating disinformation campaigns against the device, and thereby managed to persuade people not to use them. And we're talking here by the generic name of the device, if I didn't say so, was fuel catalyst. That's what it is, a fuel catalyst. And then it goes into the AA, the role played by the AA, and it's got their report included that they brought out. And it basically explains how our research yielded irrefutable evidence that the AA document had in truth been a cynical and corrupt corporate lie. Well, the AA has got this document and it hasn't complained, it said nothing, because it's true. And then it goes into the details of the actual specific lies that they told, and with the full evidence that nobody can dispute. we all started, I mean, I won't go into the details. If anybody wants the details, they can read the book. It all started when actually down to this unleaded thing. Rover cars could not use unleaded petrol, period, at that time. And what happened was that people had bought Rover cars from Rover dealers and then found they couldn't use unleaded petrol, so their cars were obsolete, even though they were maybe only a year old. And what was happening is that their dealers were selling this very product to solve the problem. And the dealers were putting it in writing that it did solve the problem. Not only cars could now use unleaded petrol, they would run better on unleaded petrol than they ever did before on 4-star. Problem was Rover had manufactured tens and tens of thousands of replacement cylinder heads that it wanted to sell through its dealer network, went there, found out that that they were selling this product then called Carbon Flow. Who would then want the cylinder head? So what did Rover do? They said they had tested Carbon Flow, found it didn't work. But when after the event, people wrote to Rover and said, can we have details of the test? Rover wrote back and said, well, we haven't tested it. They had lied. And this was the most important test that Rover, the AA, quoted to discredit the product, and it had never happened. And then the book goes on to describe other tests that the AA came out with in their report and how they rigged them, like really crudely rigged them. And then it goes on to say that connections between various liquid additives that were brought out to let cars run on unleaded petrol. I know this was years ago, but it explains why people haven't heard of the thing now, because this is what actually happened, and explains all about Castrol with the people behind that, and the connection between, incestuous connection between the AA and all the other people who were discrediting it. And then it has the press release produced by Shell. Even Shell petrol stations, some of them had started selling this product, which was the last thing that Shell wanted. So they sent out a press release, do not sell it because the AA have tested it and it doesn't work.
Oh, man, I can't wait to start fighting questions that you'll be. Go on, carry on.
So it's got all of that. And then it goes into other ways, specific material lies that they told. And then it goes on suddenly, then which magazine, the Consumers Association, they produced a 4-page article saying that this is a terrible product, have nothing whatsoever to do with it. And that, again, was a pack of lies. But I'm not talking about maybe lies. These were real lies. For instance, they said that Volvo had tested it and had found it didn't work. We wrote to Volvo and said, can we have details of your test work? And they say, we know nothing about this. We haven't tested it. As naked and as brazen as that. Then it goes on to the Advertising Standards Authority, pretty much the same thing. They made sure that this product could never be advertised, which is another reason you can't hear of it. Every avenue to possibly promote a product that would save money and help the environment was completely shut off. Again, it's just total censorship at a very high level. Then there was the Office of Fair Trading. It doesn't exist now. They put out a press release saying they've commissioned, the Advertising Standards Authority have commissioned tests by the office, the RAC. The RAC had proven this didn't work. Wrote to the RAC, we ain't tested it. I mean, we're talking about lie after lie after lie. The Department for Transport, they didn't exactly lie, but they gave a great big platform to those that did, and they actually worked hand in glove with the AA and the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders and the UK Petroleum Industry Association, the bloody lot. So it is the best documented conspiracy, and this is only a tiny summary, but it's a complete and utter watertight legal case against the establishment. And then it goes on to say, well, so they killed it off here, but then in the early 2000s, it started becoming successful abroad. the United States Navy had a big problem with fuel, and that is a bacteria that grows in fuel called fuel bug, to keep it simple. And what they did, they tested it. This is made mainly of tin, and tin is an antibacterial, and it kills bugs. And this bug can grow and grow and grow and cause all sorts of problems in marine vessels or anywhere else in diesel.
Just a quick thing. It's like it gets like that jelly type stuff in fuel, right?
Yeah.
It clogs the pipes up, rots the pipes up. I've had it on motorbikes, where I've had old non-commandos and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you won't get that with this. And this is why the United States Navy started using it. And then they got sponsored tests in America by the Department of Energy there. And so they produced various scientific reports. And it goes into that, and various press releases that were put out in America saying that this new invention, they called it an American invention, but it was actually a direct copy of the UK invention, is solving all sorts of problems. And it's used, for instance, in giant boiler installations throughout New York, where they've got oil-fired boilers, and they get huge results there.
Just a quick thing, Andrew. That was the one big thing I wanted to ask you, because I used to have oil heating in one of my houses, very expensive. You fill the tank up, as a nightmare. So you just chuck it in the tank, right?
Yeah. Well, in fact, when we're in a boiler, what you do, and sometimes in cars as well, you have exactly the same thing, but you put it in a tube like that, because boiler tanks are so enormous, you'd need loads and loads of these for that job. But if you've got it in a tube, you only a few of them. It flows through the tube, and it does the job between the tank and the actual boiler, and it keeps the boiler really clean. Argers, anything that uses fuel.
Wow.
And so there was used for that. And then it goes in the marine industry, that in the United States, along the Pacific coast in particular, various tests that have been done. Motor manufacturers have shunned this. They have done every damn thing they possibly can to block it. Only one test has ever been done that we know of, and that was Peter, my colleague. He had a connection in the Malaysian royal family. They got proton cars to test it. They tested it on a brand new car. It cut dangerous nitrous oxides idling down to zero when they'd been quite high. And it was a brand new engine, and they only got a 3% fuel saving. Which is still a lot better than nothing. The better fuel savings, if you put it on an old engine or a used engine with carbon deposits, they'll be cleaned up. And after a while, on an older engine, the difference between having it and not having it will grow normally well beyond 3%, and you get a power increase.
So you're talking about wear on piston rings and inside the cylinders. I suppose it's bound to affect inside the cylinders as well.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah.
Absolutely.
Valves, everything. I know quite a bit about engines, so I've worked on engines, so I know what's inside an engine. So it's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you take a cylinder head off, for any reason, like a head gasket goes, then you find there's virtually no carbon at all.
Because I was going to ask you about Rover, because I used to sell Rovers in Cape Town, of all places, believe it or not. And there was a terrible problem with cylinder head gaskets going on Rovers. It was a well-known thing, the early ones,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And funnily enough, South Africa it features in this book, but I won't go on to that. Then it goes into the colossal sums of money that if they had let this go. So this cover-up's been going like 37 years. And over that, the amounts are just hundreds and hundreds of billions of pounds. So if only 3% overall of fuel was saved over 30 years, I worked it out that the dollars wise, it would be 2069,550,000,000. A similar amount for fuel additives, and a similar amount for various mechanical components. Just as a rough exercise, I've come up with the figure of I don't know how you say it, 69895500000000. I've worked it out in the book. You're talking about the budgets of whole countries, and it all started with a lie by the AA. And then it goes on to how the AA, the Advertising Standards Authority, the Department for Transport, and various others have absolutely no defence at all whatsoever against the fact that they lied and they lied and they lied until they put it out a bit, erased it from public awareness. And that really is the contents. But if anybody wants to go to fuelspiracy.info, read the book. It's only 56 pages. It's got all the evidence there, but if more is needed, well, there's plenty of it. This, for instance, is the AA file. Don't call me insane, but this is all correspondence we had with the AA over a period of 6 years, including with their most senior management threatening legal action against us if we dared to air this in the public domain. It goes on and on and on. It's nuts. But it's true. And that really roughly is the story. There has been a slight further development in that I was never going to get commercially involved with this again. But by chance, a couple of years ago, around the same time as I wrote the book, I got introduced to an engineering entrepreneur and very able engineer, very well connected. And he decided we really need to do something like this with this. And he's redeveloped the product to make a very, very neat job of it. And the key thing, it's a catalyst. It's the surface area of the catalyst in contact with fuel. And he's done an ingenious job making a new design that has got a huge surface area of contact with fuel, both the design of the shape of it and in the way it's put together, that it's very, very crystalline. It looks like jewelry and it's very shiny. And at a molecular level, you get an enormous contact with fuel. And I've been going on this about a year now. Most of the people who have bought have been private individuals. And I've got some really great results from them. But I've also had a couple of commercial ones. There's Donington Aviation. They run ground equipment, including refueling tankers and aircraft tugs, the giant machines that push out aircraft at East Midlands Airport. And they've installed them. And he said, this product is unlike anything I've ever experienced before. It is truly amazing. I am astonished by the results. We had purchased these Fuelogical products, and that's the name of the company that Tim, who I'm working with, has given the company for selected vehicles. But with the results they delivered, we quickly installed them in all our ground equipment, a real game changer for our operation. If the Civil Aviation Authority allowed use of these in the air, this would be a major advancement for aviation emissions. It could achieve aircraft emissions reduction, fuel enhancement, and energy management. I've been aware of fuel catalysts for many years, but had to witness the benefits firsthand to believe the claims. It has completely revolutionized our ground-based business operations.
Wow.
I'm doing that. And if anybody's interested in that side of it, again, you can put the link up. I have another website, www.fuelcatalyst.co.uk, and that spells out not just where the thing's a no-brainer, and in many, many cases it is. It's also, I've tried to be as fair and balanced as I can, where you'll get the most amazing results, where the results will still be worthwhile, but admittedly not so amazing. And also at times where, it probably isn't worth fitting it. Certainly if it's difficult to fit in a particular vehicle, and there are some, and that vehicle's not going to be on the road for much longer, it wouldn't be worth it. But whether it's a motorcycle or a Land Rover or a a truck, or I've had a great success with a 60-ton crane, even that used to go up a hill at 27 miles an hour up in Wrexham, but now can get up 30. All sorts of things. So it will work in anything, and that's why they've made damn sure that you've not heard of it. So that is my story, Jason.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah. Sorry for swearing, everybody, but how can you not say bloody hell after all that? And the fascinating thing for me, Andrew, is I've seen you coming in my gallery telling me about this, yeah? And what I want to just mention a couple of little things. Thanks, Andrew. Firstly, I want to say, look, well done, Andrew. I'm not joking, for keeping going and keeping persistent with this, you know. You've told me about it quite a few times, and it reminds me of when Costa Coffee was trying to get into Totnes, yeah?
Yeah.
And people were putting all the stickers on the windows. They didn't give up. They chased Costa Coffee out. And I did think to myself, I don't know if they'll be able to chase Costa Coffee out. And I have to admit, I did have a similar feeling. I thought, Andrew, this guy never gives up. It's unbelievable. I can't get over it. He's keeping going against the AA, fighting the AA who tried to silence you. And because I've been people have tried to silence me, as you know, for speaking truths that are now coming true, you know, but we won't go into that here. But wow, it's an amazing thing, Andrew. And can I just rattle off a few things?
Go on then.
And then I want to ask you a couple of questions, because the first thing people are going to say, blinking hell, where can I get it? How much is it? How much is the fuel saving? But put that on hold for one moment, Andrew, because we're not here to talk about other things here, but I had things in my mind, you know, that the pharmaceutical, we're not going to talk about things like that, but the pharmaceutical companies were they've banned some vitamins, they've banned things that can cure cancer, a variety of things, you know, that I know have helped people. They've sort of banned them or put the blockers on them or told people it's a conspiracy theory. I wonder why, because the cancer companies actually make money out of the chemotherapy when you get cancer and the radiotherapy. This is a similar thing here. They're making money out of the fuel. But the beautiful thing about this product is that it's like, oh my God, it actually saves the environment. It's like, well, hang on a minute. When they're so concerned about the environment, you think they'd be all over it like a rash, you know? Yes, let's bring it on. We could, at least even in a selfish way for themselves, well, we'll be seen to be doing a good thing, you know? But of course, it'd be taking money out of their greedy pockets, you know? And, you know, people say, oh, the government, we're in a great time for this kind of thing, Andrew, because the government would never lie. People used to say, you know, but people know now with variety of things that have happened over the last, you know, period, that the government generally are liars and they're just in it for profit and power and all the rest of it. So well, let's start with that first question. I used to sell not only rovers in Cape Town, but I also used to sell hot water solar for roofs.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd go into someone's, and I'm going somewhere with this. Hold on, everybody. I used to go into someone's house and show them presentations and facts that our product, it was an Amcor, actually an Israeli product, Amcor. If you put one on your roof, your geyser, your electricity boiler would come on much less, obviously, because the hot water was coming from the roof and you didn't need that hot water cylinder to heat the water. So I could prove to people, I could sit with people, and I know your product doesn't save them 50%, but it was about 40 to 50%. So I could say, look, there's your heating bill now a month. If you install this, yes, you've got to buy it, but actually, it's going to half your electricity bill. There's all my other customers. There's the letters telling you, right? In other words, what I was saying to them, Andrew, which is what I'm going to say about your product, and I don't know how much it is yet, whether you buy it or not, you're still going to buy it. You're still going to pay for it, right? I used to say this to people, if you don't buy this product today, my solar heater, or our solar heater, with the extra money you're going to spend on fuel and electricity, you're going to buy it anyway, right? But even more with your product, because you're saving the environment as well. It's like just a no-brainer. So, okay, let's get to it. Where can they get it? How much is it? How much does it save?
Right. Okay. So where you can get it, well, put it on the thing, but they're fuelcatalyst.co.uk. And it's really important for people to have a look around that website, because it does say not only what it will do, but also what it won't do and where it's going to be easy to fit and where it might not be. And those things are really important. So
it won't make your Mini Cooper do 300 miles an hour, like, you know.
no, it won't do that. But what it would do, so well, specific examples. Let's start with a motorcycle that is used seasonally. You'll just drop a couple of these in the tank, or one or two. Depends how many of these you need. Always depends on the size of the engine, the size of the fuel tank. There are various formulas there. You'll drop those in, and I've done various tests where I've taken a motorcycle to a rolling road, and you do maximum power runs, and then you repeat you take a reading, an average of 3 usually. You then fit these and then run the bike for maybe half an hour, then do 3 more tests, and you get a 2 or 3% increase normally straight away. I've done that several times. I did do it once, and for whatever reason, on one occasion, I didn't get a reading. I don't know why. I don't know why, but generally you do. So there's that power, and if that power that's an immediate thing. But if you've got carbon build-up in the engine, that will dissipate over a period of time due to better combustion. Once that happens, the fuel saving or the power increase differential between having it and not having it will be greater as time goes on. So you're going to run a bike for months, years, you'll get a big saving cumulatively. That's on the motorcycle. Not only that, if you, like I say, or said before, if it's seasonally run, I mean, I was selling these down, a really excellent motorcycle guy down in Plymouth, who's got Jack, who's got a motorcycle workshop there. He really pushed these for me. And he used to get real problems with bikes that he had taken in or he had, and then he's got such a big collection of bikes he didn't use them, and he forgot about them. And suddenly, after months, he'd go and try and start it again. He couldn't. Never had those because of the fuel had deteriorated. Never had that problem after fitting these in the tank. And even he said, I saw him quite recently, and even had like a angle grinder for grinding up paving slabs, things like that. He'd had a couple of these in, and 3 years it had been stood on his shelf. Somebody asked to borrow it, and it started first time. It would never have got going. So did it on everything. So there's that side of it as well. So in a situation like that, it literally is the difference between not starting at all and starting first time. Yeah. And it will eventually deteriorate, but it'll take a long, long time. So there's that. So that is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of any commercial operator where you're, like, for instance, the cranes I mentioned, or or at the airport, where things in constant use. Even if you're only getting a fairly low percentage fuel saving, it'll pay back. Oh, by the way, how much is one of these? Well, for a motorcycle up to a few hundred cc, it's got the details on the website. That is, it's I think $18.95 now. It'll soon be a bit more because I've got no choice but to register for VAT. So that'll go on top. But then that will last the life of a bike. On a larger bike, you'll need 2 or 3 of them according to the engine size. We've got a Kia Picanto. That's a nice one. 3 of these tiny little things that are currently, I think, £14.95 each. But soon they'll have to add the VAT on it, but £14.95 each. In a Kia Picanto, these drop straight down the spout into the tank, and for that you just get a far smoother, better performance forever, and there's no fitting. Beware, there are some cars you cannot drop them in. There's anti-siphon devices to stop you, and then fitting becomes a professional job. Usually an hour will do it, but just be aware that it's that is our only bugbear, really. Some cars are a little bit awkward to fit.
Go on. No, go on, Andrew.
Yeah. At the other end of the scale, so if you've got a 60-ton crane, I don't know if you have, But then you're talking about something that maybe is doing 5 miles a gallon, and they cover some miles, some of them. Then the cost of that, you'd need about 20 of these in the fuel tank, and they're 20 quid each, and then there's 400 quid. But for that, you get a lifetime of less AdBlue consumption, less problems with any exhaust pollution or exhaust equipment. You get fuel savings, so it'll pay for itself very, very quickly and over and over and over again. So
what? Because I've worked on cars, taken engines to bits, and done all sorts of things, Andrew.
I didn't know that.
Say again?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, well, in a very basic way, often when me and Louise drove to Greece to see my family in a old Bedford CF250, the old sloping engines, which used to be in the Vauxhall VX490. I'm showing my age now. And me and Louise have been lying in boiler suits under that truck, changing gearboxes together and everything. We've had quite an experience, but I used to fix my own stuff, and I could take an engine apart and everything. So what I'm curious about is because I was going to ask you this, but you covered it earlier on, when you drop them in the fuel tank, or when you talked about the oil tanks, you put a tube in with them in, and the fuel in one end and out the other end, yeah, and that
goes in one end, better fuel comes out the other.
It goes straight through the. You've got them for cars to just put in the fuel line, I suppose. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
So you could literally. That's an option, yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say would be the best thing, in the fuel line and the tank, or just one or the other?
One or the other, Jason. One or the other.
That's enough, yeah.
Yeah. One or the other, and normally the tanks, it costs less to buy, and normally it's easy to fit. Normally, and in most equipment, it really is easy to fit. By the way, but yeah, I do want to make people aware that this is our only snag, that in some it isn't. And then you can often fit a fuel an inline device where you can't,
underneath the car, or would you rather put it in the engine bay?
It can go anywhere. So you've got a fuel tank, and you've got a pipe from the tank to the engine that the fuel goes through, and you just fit one end and over the other. But again, when I got involved with this, cars were lovely. You could easily bung them in the tank, or you had nice rubber pipes that you could cut into, slide them over one end, slide them over the other. Now you've got hard plastic pipes, and we generally recommend the fuel tank option.
Yeah. But is there a list of cars that is there a list of cars where you couldn't pop them in the tank that you've got on the website as well, just to guide people, or?
What I've got at the moment, Jason, what I'm working on is exactly that. But there's rather a lot of different cars.
Most cars you can definitely pop them in. I know that. There's no doubt about it.
Well, we do have to be careful, because on newer cars, because a lot of them have got things called anti-siphon devices.
Yeah. That
stop you going, putting a fuel in and nicking the fuel. So that is our only issue. But then it explains it all on the website. Where you've got those, then you generally can't put them down the tank. Like on a Kia Picanto, you can. Loads of them you can, but some you can't. And then what you've got to do, it's all on the website. Under the back seat, normally there's a inspection plate, and beneath that is the top of the fuel tank where the fuel pump is. A mechanic can undo that, put them in that way, and that's generally an hour's work.
Yeah.
And it's all quite well explained on the fuelcatalyst.co.uk website.
Yeah.
I mean, when you've got trucks and things like that, they got great big holes. It's just sod's law, isn't it? Everybody's got a car, and some cars are not easy, but sometimes the cars are.
I used to live on a narrowboat, I had a floating gallery in Bath, and people just pop them in the tanks with narrowboats and everything. It's a fascinating thing, Andrew. I'm not joking, and especially because you've got so much evidence there with the top gear, increased power, less fuel. It's just amazing, and it's amazing that it sounds to me like Shell and the fuel companies have been paying the government off to, or the AA and people like that, to just not don't tell anyone. I mean, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? It's like almost like they shut Tesla up for his free energy devices and things like that. this has been going on for years. It's
Yeah.
amazing, really. It's absolutely fascinating, Andrew. You know.
All these years, Jason, I used to, I was involved in this and I just thought I was working on this unique case.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. They're all the bloody,
Yeah,
it's everywhere, isn't it?
yeah, it's ubiquitous. Yeah. It's quite fascinating, Andrew. But oh God, it's amazing, Andrew. What an amazing! I'm so glad we've chatted about it. You know, I know we've chatted about it before, and I've got to see the book, obviously, but I'm sure I got it here somewhere. But it's just amazing that this moment in time when the streets of hummus or whatever you are, hummus, I thought, streets of hummus and toast, you know, is closed and there's chaos globally and the petrol prices are going completely crazy. This is just an amazing time for people to get this product, and it's not like it costs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. You know, try to say it's really, really reasonably priced, and you know, and if just put them in, and that's it. You know, everyone needs help now with fuel prices. And I think it's just an amazing product, Andrew. I can't get over that you've kept going and you've kept talking about it, and you've challenged the AA. I've heard you tell me about it. You know, it's fascinating. I want to really say well done to you, Andrew. And it's a great product, and you're just helping people. It's fantastic. You know, wow, brilliant. You know, brilliant. So what? Before we round it off, where do people go now? So you have done me, and I said I'm not here to benefit off this product. I just want you to get out this story out there and for people to get it. Yeah. But if people, because you support my show and as you have done for many years, you've came in and chatted to me about different things. So you've set it up now. So if people use a code for this show,
Yeah.
they'll actually
do a 5% discount, what I said. So I've set up this code on the fuelcatalyst.co.uk website. Yeah, the one below. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, and that's on the fuelcatalyst.co.uk website, which I'll put underneath this show, and I'll also put that on there as well. So they just go on there, they use that code, and they get 5% off.
Yeah.
Well done, Andrew. Thank you for that. Thank you. That's wonderful.
But yeah, so yeah, I think I've covered the main points, and I'm really delighted to have caught up with you this again.
It's amazing, Andrew. Honestly, I just can't get over it, you know, because as you know, I've been following your thing with this for so long. It seems like, well, it's years and years, isn't it? I know it really is, and I just think it's so beautiful when sometimes the timing is just right for something to be really beneficial to people, you know. And like I said to people, you're going to buy it anyway. I'm not just saying that. You're going to buy many of these things. Get them in your tank and try it out and get on with it, you know. And if it's going to be better for your engine and it purifies the fuel, that is one of the great things for me as someone who's worked on bikes and changed piston rings and pistons on vehicles. I know, and then the valves and everything. It's just an amazing thing, you know. It's better than chucking that STP stuff in and all that kind of thing. And that's what I wanted to ask you, Andrew, on the diesel engines, on the like in and on petrol engines, the injectors. That's surely going to be very beneficial for injector systems as well, which is very good, isn't it? You know.
Oh yeah, you just things like that is where the real strength is. You just don't get the issues.
Yeah.
I'm even thinking of a friend down in Torquay who's a builder who's got like a pickup truck, and the regen is like less than half as often as it was because he just does short journeys. And like I said, the crane, it's the AdBlue. He uses the same amount of AdBlue on a return journey as what he was doing on a single journey each way, because there's less nitrous oxide going in the exhaust, less to treat, so there's less AdBlue, and it goes on, and it's all the way that the fuel burns. I lost my thread there, Jason, but yeah.
No, it's just I was just rounding it off, just saying about the fuel injectors, and how I've had problems with injectors.
Oh, yeah.
Like they just clog up and stuff like that. And
the STP, that's the whole thing. All of that, you just don't need them anymore.
No, exactly.
Lead replacement additives,
yeah,
biocides, all the rest of it. You go into Halfords
Yeah.
or anywhere like that. There's rows of them.
So you see, this product you're selling, I can see it in Halford soon. It's bound to happen, and
No, same thing.
it's the same thing. They just don't want to know, you know.
They'd rather sell those things, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they call you a
Oh,
conspiracy. They call you a conspiracy nutcase, right? It's like,
no, no, we've been there, done that. No, they're not interested. Nothing like that.
wow, how incredible! How incredible! Oh, Andrew, listen, I could go talking on about this to you for ages, but I'm sure I'll see you in town tomorrow or the next day. We can carry on the chat. But hey, it's great to know you and your wonderful lady who's doing fantastic work also in many areas. She's amazing. You're both great people doing wonderful work for people and concerned about humanity and just really we want a better world for people, and it's just wonderful. I really take my hat off to you both and for all the good things you're doing, you know.
Oh, likewise, reciprocated. You and Louise, spot on.
Exactly.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so listen, everyone, just go. All the links will be under the show. But fuelspiracy.info. You can get the the free Fuelspiracy book. Go and get that, and the catalyst.co.uk. So I'll put those links under the show, and go there as soon as you can, everybody, and have a look. And just want to say thanks so much, Andrew, for coming on, and it's great to speak to you. And well, go on.
Last thing, if anybody wants the hard copy of the Fuelspiracy, that can be had from fuelcatalyst.co.uk, because that's where I've got the shop. And it's £9.95. I'm really pleased with it, and I read it, and I think sooner or later they're going to jump up and down if enough people read it, because it calls them out in ways that I don't think many other publications do. It's very direct, to the point.
And it's the truth. That's the main thing.
And it only took 35 years to write.
Oh God, Andrew. Well, I tell you what, you've got more patience than me. I generally start things and give up too soon. You know, it's one of my little downfalls. But my gosh, I'll tell you what, you're a very determined man. My gosh, and wow, it's amazing you've kept going. Thanks so much, Andrew, for being you and for everything you're doing. Yeah.
Well, likewise, Jason. So we'll see each other soon.
Yeah. See you soon. Yeah. Have a great evening, Andrew. Thanks, mate.
Okay.
There he goes, Andrew Knott. My goodness me, what? Honestly, I'm not joking. I really mean it. I've seen Andrew in Totnes for so many years. I don't even I can't even remember how I met Andrew. I've got no idea. But I don't know. In Totnes, maybe Andrew came in my shop or at one of the conferences we organised, and one of something like that. But I honestly, I really used to think, wow, Andrew just keeps going with this thing, and I used to think to myself, I would have given up ages ago, you know. But when someone like Andrew knows that something's good for people and saving them money, and good for the environment as well, that's the most mind-shattering thing to me, that this hasn't been snapped up by the government, you know, and put it in every single car. It's the obvious thing to do, isn't it? You know, every car that's made has got to have this in it, you know. Of course it has, you know. So I just don't get it. Surely it wouldn't be because the government wanted to make as much money out of petrol as possible, would it? Could it possibly be that? No, that's a conspiracy theory, isn't it? Oh, well. Well, I'm not going to keep you any longer, everybody. That's it. I'm just going to go now. I've got food in the oven and I'm starving. I've just come back from training. So just to say to you before I go, of course, get my book as well. Get Andrew's books, obviously, Fuelspiracy. Go to those www.fuelspiracy.info and also fuelcatalyst.co.uk, and those links will be under the show. Use the code. You know, Andrew supports my show. He's been very supportive to me over the years. So you will get a 5% discount if you go there and use the code Jason, whatever it is, Jason LIO, I think. But that will be under this show as well, and you will have to go to the website to use that. For the amount of money it costs, it's obvious. Just got to chuck them in your tank, haven't you? There's no doubt about it. Or get one in your fuel line. It's a very simple job. I know because I was a mechanic. You won't have to. You'll just put it in the fuel tank, or you can just get someone to. It'll be with what I know about fixing cars, half an hour's labour. That's all. Or you can even do it yourself. And I think Andrew shows you on the website. But don't ask me to do it. I've worked on enough cars to last me a lifetime. Oh God, I've had so many old bangers in my life. My goodness me, you know. Oh, and my father used to have terrible old bangers, you know. He used to park them at the top of the hill to roll down because, you know, either the alternator wasn't working or the battery was flat. Oh gosh, oh really, honestly. And talking about fuel is funny because a lot of the old bangers we used to have, we never put too much fuel in them. Not just because we couldn't afford the fuel at the time, but we didn't know whether we were going to have them next week, you know. And my dad used to buy his cars off a guy called Tidy. And he was called Tidy because when you went to buy a car off him, he used to sell him in the street by my Uncle Georgie. You'd say, "What's it like?" Oh, it's tidy. It's like, oh, okay. You'd say, is it run okay? And he always used to say the same thing. Oh, it goes. Oh, well, that's a good start. It goes at least. Oh, bless him. Oh, we bought a few cars off him. So yeah, just to say before I go, get my book, The Emergency Transformation of Human Beings as the Solution to the World's Problems. You'll get that on my website, which is jasonleosatis.com. If you want to see my website for my artwork in Totnes, Devon, my gallery, we sell lots of prints on there. And we don't charge much for them either. And they get sent to you straight to your door and made by my great printer in Plymouth. So he makes them, the canvases, stretches them over a box frame and sends them to you, prints them. Fantastic. We're getting some great results from those and people are loving them. And I'll always do you a discount as well. All you've got to do is phone me or email me and I'll sort it out for you. We're very generous in Jason Leosatis gallery in Totnes, you know. I'm not greedy and I always give discounts, you know. And so if go on jasonleosatisart.com if you want to see the paintings, my originals and my prints on there, or just pop in the gallery and see me and say hello. I'm always there to speak to people, have a cup of coffee or something. If you want to support my work, go to Patreon and .com, I think it is, and you can go on there and support me, my work. And go also and have a look at naturalearthecoliving.com. That's my wife's wonderful website, and Louise, and she is creating starting to pull people together to start communities, inspiring communities with growing their own food, with their own water, with their own systems, and inspiring systems of growing and working on the land again, and returning and having less bills and pressures for people, because so many people are under terrible pressure now with their bills and everything. So we want to start new ways of living and being on the planet, literally running parallel to with our current system. And more people I speak to are saying, "Get me out of this! I can't stand it any longer. It's driving me mad." So we're creating these new systems, and I've got a lovely lady Liz on the show either tomorrow or the next day. I'm not sure which one now. We're going to speak to her and we'll be talking about her projects as well, getting people to start growing together on the land, coming together and creating literally new and inspiring communities, templates, if you like, for a different way of living and being on the planet, with more freedom and time for yourself, and less huge bills and pressures, which is crushing too many people. It's almost unbearable for people now. It's excruciating, actually. And I speak to people in my gallery every day about this very subject, and people are looking for a new way of living and being on this planet now. So that's what we've got to do, create new systems. So go on there, naturalearthecoliving.com, and have a look. And you can send me an email if you want to jason.leosatos, that's LIOSATOS, at btinternet.com. And I'll put that on the links as well, with Andrew's links for the product that we've been speaking about tonight, which is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And the AA just wouldn't promote it. I'm not surprised at all, but you never cease to be amazed, do you? So that's me. Stay healthy, stay happy, treat each other really well, love each other, treat each other like you like to be treated, and we'd have a utopia on the planet in no time. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you again soon on the show with some more great guests. And I'm on YouTube again now as well. I was banned off YouTube some years ago for speaking too many truths. It's like But things are changing. We're going into a whole new world now, and this is very exciting, I think. So, yeah, I've got great hope. It's going to be great. Don't you worry about a thing. Be kind to yourself. Be happy. Stay fit. Eat good food, and have a great life, because it's a miracle to be alive in a spacesuit on planet Earth. What a privilege. Aren't we lucky? Yeah. So treat yourself well. All the best. See you next time. Bye bye.